G'day and welcome back to Shedhouse Motorcycles. I'm Rowan and this is my channel for product review, how-to videos and the restoration of bikes from the 70s, 80s and 90s. In this episode, week 4 of the 7-week challenge to put the RD250LC back on the road, it's wiring week. We're taking this wiring loom and we're going to repair it in readiness to put it back into the frame as we continue the restoration of the bike. I want to show you how, so hang around. I said in the intro, part 1 is repairing the wiring loom. We're going to strip the loom and look for any repairs that have been previously done. There is evidence of that because there's insulation tape over the loom where there should be loom tape. We know the Cafe Racer cowling that was on the bike when I first bought it, they'd shortened the wires to accommodate that. We need to repair that and lengthen them for the original seat and cowling setup. So we're going to concentrate on repairs this week, and I want to show you some tips and tricks around wiring and how to do it without losing the shape and getting yourself into a bit of a mess. So please stick around. Okay, so as we said in the intro, here's the wiring loom that came with the bike. It's not in too bad a shape. First impressions, it's a bit of a mess, but when you start to look at it, the bones are there. It has been played with, so we need to talk about that. But we need to get this loom onto the frame so we don't start to compromise the build as we start to put on things like the oil tank reservoir, the water system reservoir, stoplight switches, voltage reg rectifier and the CDI unit, and we need to know where this goes and have it on the frame and out of the way of the tank. So it's become obvious that we need to do this. So and there's nothing wrong with that. Let's just get on with it. So looking at the loom, if you look at, say, around the headlight area here, you can see some of the plugs are broken. They're just road grit, dirty. And the wiring loom is just, you know, in a bit of a mess from dirt and water ingress. But, you know, it's fairly supple. It's okay. That's a good sign. What I've done already is sandblasted this ignition area of the loom just to see what it looks like, and sandblast up the plugs, get the dirt ingress off them. Look at the loom, look at the terminals, look at the wiring condition, and it's not too bad. So what I'm going to do is put this whole loom into the sandblaster and blast all the wire and the terminals and the fittings so that I've got a nice clean ends to work with. We're going to replace this fuse box with an aftermarket fuse box. The tail light loom has been shortened to accommodate the Cafe Racer cowling that was on the bike when I bought it, so we'll need to get that off and extend those wires and get it right. But that's interesting and a good point to pause on for a second. You can see here that this, although it's been shortened, they've put the original loom tape back on, and it's not adhesive and it's quite malleable and stretchy. But over here where they've repaired this main battery wire for some reason, they've used insulation tape, and it's as hard as a rock. Because that's a poor choice. You shouldn't use insulation tape. And that's a tip that I want to pass on. And also we're here where they've run a wire over the top of the loom. They've picked up the tail light down here somewhere. It's either the tail or the stoplight. They've run a wire over the top, and then they've taped it into the loom here, and they've used again insulation tape, and it's as hard as a rock. So we need to fix that, and this is pretty tight, and it's been redone at some stage because it's not even. And we'll talk about how to do that properly later on. But what I want to talk about is it's easy to go off and run off to your auto parts store or hardware store and buy insulation tape, but it's not very wide. It's about 15mm wide. It's very sticky, and it's designed to be sticky, and it isn't very stretchy because it's also designed to stay put, right? So we're going to use loom tape. Proper loom tape is 25mm wide. It's not adhesive and it's super stretchy, and you can work with it. And you won't use as much tape because you're covering a wider area as you go around, so it works easier for us. So we're going to get onto that when we start to peel this back and get it right. We'll be using loom tape. So there's a tip. Don't go and buy the adhesive insulation tape, buy loom tape. Right, so just another couple of things. We talked about the fuse box. We're going to change that. This is a non-genuine flasher can, but it's right for the era. It's a bimetallic flasher can, very common in its day, replaced by electronic cans later on. And today in a modern car or a bike, you would have it in the body control module, but in the day, that's what they had. It's got a resistor in there. As the resistor heats up, the metal expands like a cricket clicker, if you had those when you were a kid. It opens the points, the resistor and the metal circuit breaks. The metal cools down and closes, connects the contacts again. The resistor heats the metal again, opens it up, closes, open, closes, and it should do that once every second or twice a second. That's the rate. So we'll see how that goes when we put it back on. Before we go over to the sandblaster to sandblast all these terminals, I just want to point something else out. This loom is telling me a story, and it's a real error to race in and just strip it completely and have a whole bunch of wires just running around random. I'm going to start up here around the ignition area because I know where that goes. It goes just on the tank side of the headstock, and that's pretty much our ignition. There's a relay that goes to the ignition coils. That is the ignition coil, and then it goes around here to the headlight. That goes through the headstock and around to the headlight. They're the horn wires there. They need to be fixed up, but I'll just lay this on a longer table when we come back to it to do the repair work, and we'll just do a section, then we'll do another section, and then we'll do another section, and we'll repair it as we go along where it's needed to be repaired, because it's telling me where things go. So I know that goes beside the battery box, that goes to the battery. That's the that'll be with the 3 white wires. That'll be the reg. That'll be going to the engine for the alternator. That's the 3 phases of the alternator. This is CDI. Yep. This will go to the CDI unit near the back mudguard. So it all makes sense where it goes. So we're not going to break it and lose the memory. We're just going to go about our business and do it in sections 1, 2, 3, and try not to lose the shape, so when it goes back into the bike it'll tell us the story. So let's get over to the sandblaster and get on with it. Folks, here we are on the work table. I've got, as I said earlier, we're going to stretch it out so we can work on it. This piece of tape here is just to tell me where I'm in the middle of the shot, so I don't take you out of shot. There are a couple of things that we will need to come back to around this wire. Here is looking very dodgy in the terminal, and I'll show you how to fix that. And this headlight should be a 3 terminals, and they've cut it and put this here, I'd say, so we'll get one of those and replace it. And also the indicator wires have been cut to take the non-genuine ones that were fitted when I bought the bike, so we need to sort this out and bring an earth over to this side for the indicator. So that'll be in the first place, but it doesn't look quite right or whatever. We'll sort it out. But right now, let's concentrate on the loom itself. As I said, this has had insulation tape run over it for some reason. My intention is to take that insulation tape off and tape it with loom tape, as I said. I cut 3 lengths of loom tape about 500 mils long. We do 3 of those, and they'll become evident as we go along that you need to have some separate pieces from the actual roll. For this point here, anywhere there's a branch, we'll need some extra pieces. So really we should get 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of 500 mil. So let's crack on and get that done. We'll just put this piece over here out. This is just a piece of loom tape that we'll come back to a bit later on. Okay, the job is to make sure we don't lose this shape here. So this goes under the tank and around the ignition coil area. Okay, so our first piece of work is to fix this little section between here and here. You can see where the wires have been formed, so we don't want to disrupt that. So we're just going to get the loom tape. This is not the way I normally do it. I just want to try and keep you in on the action. So we're going to go over here. This one comes out the same point, so we can come back over. So we've come under it over the other side. I'm not applying any pressure to it at the minute. So we've started here, we've gone under, over, back up and under, so we've now got this encapsulated and it's water and dirt ingress proof. Now the tape has decided to stick itself together, but like I said, this tape is not truly adhesive, so you can work with it. It's very forgiving. As much as that's annoying, it's a very forgiving to get it back into a flat shape to keep working. Just one little last piece here. Yep, okay, that'll do it. So then we're just going to now run through to here, and we'll get rid of that insulation tape that I put in. This is probably the most fiddly bit of the whole darn exercise. So up and over. We've already taped in here, so we can be a little bit liberal and move pretty quickly. Now, here's something I want to point out to you. You want to be half on the old piece and half on a new piece. So half on the previous bit of taping. Hopefully this is coming through. Get this out because I've got it held by insulation tape on the other side just for the minute. So up, over, and then this bit here is right. Now we can take that piece of insulation tape off that was holding it, keep holding our shape. And we just come around here for the minute. And you might say, well, you haven't done what you did back there. But what we'll do is we'll actually start our loom. We'll actually start this piece of loom from here. So for the minute, all that is holding our shape and keeping us intact. Okay, so first piece done. Nice and supple. Even though it's a short piece, it's still supple. So let's work our way back along and see where this, you can see where this is loom tape and then it hits insulation tape. Now another trick to all this, not so much a trick but a technique, is not to let it go too far without trying to keep it in shape. It's just a bit of taking up the slack here, so like I said, that'll be, just put a bit of tape around it. see how the tape works to hold itself together. So, and we don't want to be too forceful with the blade. We just want it to nip it so we can work with it. Let's get this old stuff off. Now this black wire, we're going to take it out because I think it's not part of the original loom. It's been tacked on down the back here, so just going to take it out because I don't think we need it. This part will stop here and we'll come back to this part here when we've got it stripped. This is just to hold it. Because here it gets interesting. Something's going on here. Okay, so what's going on here? Oh yeah. That must be to protect it around to the fuse. This is the main battery wire. This is the main battery wire, I would say, and then it's been protected in spaghetti tubing to protect it right down here to the fuse box. And remember, we've got to do something with that fuse box. And this black wire we've talked about many times, it's coming right out. Okay, so here we've got 2 branch points, but here's the deal. It branches, must branch here because these wires, there's an interconnection here, so this will be, if we push that over that way, the loom will actually, we can run the loom this way, and then we'll run the loom that way. So this will be a separate piece. We'll tape this piece up first because our main run will be this way. We do have to understand, we did talk about this earlier too, we need to understand what this is about without losing the shape. Why is this taped up? And where does it go to? It's that black, it's that earth. It's definitely that. So what's its story? I don't understand why it's being taped up. There's been a join here for some reason. It's had a short on it too. the insulation's gone. It's had a short. Now, you might say, well, why hasn't it burnt all the way through? I'd say the it's run along, the less power it's had, and it's actually stopped burning the insulation. It's bubbly here. It'll also only burn, a short normally only burns as far as the junction, and then it stops. And this has got to be an earth too, so we need to replace that black one. Actually, let's pull this back. Let's pull this back and see what's going on in here. This is really stiff for some reason. This has all been repaired at some point. Here you can see the evidence here of where the short's been. It's burned into that brown wire insulation, but it's okay. So, which is the flasher can, I think. Yep. Okay, so we need to sort this piece out here, but coming back to what we said right from the get-go, what we don't want to do is lose the shape. So just make sure before we get too far advanced that we've got something on this side holding it together so we don't lose the shape. It's actually back here is where it starts to do its thing. I'd say that shouldn't be crimped up. It's just been crimped up because it's been badly managed with. That doesn't have any signs of being in there, so we'll take that out of the picture. Just to hold its shape only. Okay, so now we've got this piece, the tail light, the fuse box and the engine and tail light is headed that way. And this is the engine components, engine management, charging, flasher can. This is to the battery box, so we need to fix that one. Run a new black wire into there, but we also just want to understand what's going on in here. That's what was the big ostrich neck. So we probably need to, what we're going to do is replace this burnt wire and bring it right down, and we'll bring the red, we'll get some red and we'll bring that down, and we'll bring this black, we'll extend that black down, and then we'll work it out on the bike what we actually need to do before we finish that piece off. So there's 3 wires that go that way, and they've been cut here, a couple of crimp terminals put on and then taped over the top, and that was making it stiff and hard, and a big gooseneck in it, so ostrich neck in it. So let's fix this wire, extend this, extend that, and we'll get on with it. So don't cut the wires all to one point, cut them at different points so that we spread out where the joins are. So that's it for this week. episode 4, part 1, the wiring repair. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the channel. Loving the comments that are coming through and engaging with you out there, the viewers. So continue with adding your comments. And until next week, stay safe, stay in your shed, and we'll see you soon.